Welcome to episode 10 of Small Screen Cinema with Tabitha and Dad. Yeah. So this is our last of our October episode, so it's the final episode of the Halloween season. Tabitha, are you scared?
I'm so scared. I'm
I am
so
pe
scared. I've
I
got
am
all the
petrified.
lights on.
Tell everybody what we are going to look at today.
We are doing a BBC classic called Ghostwatch from 1992. Um, it actually aired on Halloween night. So when I was but a young toddler with the whole world in front of me, and just look at me now. Look at me now. Look at all the endless potential that I have lived up to. Don't be
Wow.
jealous. I'm sure you guys did okay too.
You got to adulthood.
I
That
sure
was
did.
that was all of my kids have gotten to adulthood. That's like my biggest accomplishment ever.
Yeah, just as yeah, never mind. We're not doing politics.
That
Um, Besides just being an excellent movie, this became something of a legend because people thought it was real. And you can't totally blame them if you tuned in late. Um, it does star real BBC anchors and reporters, hosts. So this was, I guess, the British version of the War of the Worlds, the Orson Welles broadcast.
exactly.
Yeah. People were scared, people were pissed. The BBC received numerous phone calls, worried and angry. Um, so much so that this did not air again on the BBC, and it was buried for a long time. In fact, when I first saw it about a decade ago, it was kind of hard to get a hold of. It was streaming on Shudder briefly, so that's when Mondo and I first saw it, and then it was gone from Shudder, and we couldn't find it again. It's back up now. Eventually, I got a Region 2 DVD copy of it, and then I got a beautiful special edition Blu-ray of it that comes with the script, little lobby cards, and essay booklet. It's really lovely. So this was presented as a live broadcast, even though it is completely scripted and was filmed weeks before it aired. It was part of a BBC anthology series called Screen One, and Screen One ran from 1989 to 1998. The story was conceived and written by Stephen Volk. It is loosely based on the Enfield Poltergeist story, and if you don't know what that is, it's The Conjuring 2. Is the
Oh,
plot of that
okay.
movie. Yeah. Stephen Volk is a screenwriter and novelist, and before he made his living that way, he worked a while as a copywriter. His screenplays, in my opinion, are kind of hit and miss. Like he wrote Gothic, um, The Guardian, the Killer Tree movie that William Friedkin made, and The Awakening in 2011. I actually really like The Awakening. I think he's still working today, at least in literature. He just had a collection of short stories published in 2022. And this was directed by Leslie Manning. Um, this is probably our no this yeah this is our first woman director, and we probably won't see a whole lot since we're doing old TV movies. She's worked on a lot of British television, some shorts, some features. She's also still working today. And it stars Michael Parkinson as himself. Parkinson was a real television presenter, talk show host, and journalist. He had his own show in the 70s just called Parkinson, which was a chat show.
Was it
And
a solid show or was it a little shaky?
shame on you.
I have
Shame
friends
on
with
you.
Parkinson's and they joke about it all the time.
Hmm. That show was also revived in the late 90s through 2007. He played himself in the movie Love Actually, if you've ever seen that, and in the Australian soap opera Neighbours. He hosted radio programs too. He was on the album cover for Band on the Run, the Paul McCartney and Wings album.
Wow.
Yeah. He worked for some good causes. He spoke out against apartheid and was the founding sponsor of the Anti-Nazi League. On the other hand, Helen Mirren has referred to him as a sexist old fart. So there's that. I'm not trying to disparage the guy. I'm just painting a rounded picture of him.
Okay.
Parkinson died just a few years ago on
When
August 16th, 2023, which means Evelyn's birthday is now tainted.
now did he die of natural causes or did Helen Mirren kill him?
Well, he would have deserved it. And then next we have Mike Smith, aka Smithy, who also plays himself. Um, Again, he was a television and radio presenter. He was a race car driver too. He
Yeah,
hosted
that's
Top of the
cool.
Pops for a few years in the 80s, and he was the BBC presenter at Live Aid in 1985. In 1988, he was in a helicopter crash with his future wife and another star of this film, Sarah Green. They both suffered broken bones, but they did survive and recover. Just seems really scary to me. And Smith passed away August 1st, 2014. So now your birthday is tainted.
So people are dying on our family's birthdays.
Yeah,
Evelyn and mine.
yeah.
This is scary.
It's very scary.
Frightening.
uh, Sarah Green is also a television presenter, but she actually studied acting in college and did have some television acting experience. So she had a leg up on the boys. She was on a soap called Together. She was on Doctor Who, a medical drama called Casualty, the sketch comedy show called French and Saunders, and another soap called Brookside. She and Smithy were in the Bill Murray comedy The Man Who Knew Too Little, which I have seen but only have the vaguest memories of. Green is still with us and working at 67. Next, we have Craig Charles in a small role as the traveling reporter. And I point him out because he was the only person in this movie that I recognized immediately because he was the star of Red Dwarf. You know that show?
No.
Really? Oh,
Really?
it's a classic. It's a British sci-fi comedy. But and Mike used to watch it, so as soon as I saw that guy's face, I'm like, oh yeah, Red Dwarf. I mean, I already knew this was fake, but still. Charles also had hosting experience though. He had his own radio show called Craig Charles Funk and Soul Show. He hosted the Gadget Show from 2016 to 2022. He was a regular on the British soap Coronation Street. He was on that for about a decade from 2005 to 2015. He also works in music. He's had several bands and he works in theater. He's written books. He had a column in Time Out magazine. He's kind of done it all. That's all well and good, but in 1994, he and another man were accused by Charles's ex-partner of sexual assault. Now, he was eventually acquitted, but if they treat sexual assault cases in the UK anything like they do in the US, that doesn't necessarily mean much to me. I didn't look deep enough into it to form a solid opinion, but I do think that that accusation is serious enough to put out there. He's still alive at 61. Next, we have an actress, a full on actress, not a presenter. Her name is Julian Bevan, and she plays the parapsychologist, Dr. Pascoe. She was in several British TV shows like Holby City, Father Brown, Teachers, and The Chief. She's a very prolific theater actress as well. She got to play Dorothy in the Royal Shakespeare Company's revival of The Wizard of Oz in 1988. And she is still with us today and working at age 69. Next, we have Brid Brennan playing Pamela Early. She is a Tony winning actress, Best Featured Actress in 1992, same year this came out, so this was a banger year for her. She was also on Doctor Who. She was in the films Brooklyn and Florence Foster Jenkins, and she is also still working today. The girls are played by real life sisters Charisse and Michelle Wesson. And they didn't really do a whole lot after this. The younger one, this is her only credit, and the older one only had a few others. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that there was a young man by the name of Martin Denham who died by suicide a few days after watching this broadcast, the pipes in his own home rattled, and that's something that heavily features in the movie. In a note he left, he said, "Please don't worry. If there are ghosts, I will be a ghost, and I will be with you always as a ghost." I think,
Wow.
yeah, the parents, I think they sued. It all ended up getting settled, but the BBC argued that the program had been clearly advertised as fiction. I don't really know how to feel about this. I feel like you can't control how people consume art, but I feel like the movie is kind of a trick, you know?
Yeah, it's the same thing that happened with War of the Worlds. They did say at the beginning this is a presentation of
Hmm.
RKO studio players, and this one said this is uh, for entertainment purposes. Not quite remembering how it was worded, um, but the when you tune in late, what
Yeah,
do you think? It
right.
looks authentic, so you're
It
thinking
does.
authentic. But the we have seen so many ghost shows, ghost hunters, and all kinds of stuff. Um, it's I yeah, I watch them all the time, and this is what I glean from these ghost shows. Number one, don't be Catholic. For some reason, demons and ghosts love to haunt Catholics. So thank God I'm not a Catholic. So, um, but on a serious note, we've kind of become jaded and numb to it. I watch these shows now and I'm thinking, yeah, did that really happen? Or is this all scripted? You know, because it was a different time then. They don't have the luxury that we have of 1,000,005 channels with all these ghost channels. So I'm thinking in today's world, I don't know if too many people would be fooled by it, or if it'd
Yeah,
just be another ghost
today,
story. Yeah.
right. Yeah, I watched a YouTuber and she said, I believe in ghosts. I don't believe in ghost shows. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably fair. Apparently, Michael Parkinson's own mother thought that this was real, which I'm like, it's kind of a dick move that you didn't tell her. And Judi Dench called Brid Brennan because they knew each other from the theater and joked that she ruined the experience for her because she knew her right away, so she knew it was fake. So, with all that background out of the way, let's get into it.
Okay.
Um, Again, like you said, the opening clearly states that this is fiction. And we open with Michael Parkinson saying that the program we are watching is a live investigation, but contains some content which some might find disturbing. So I feel like even if you think that's real, that's an extra warning to get your little kids out of the room, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, not that you would have done that, would you?
No. Watch this. There are ghosts everywhere.
Yeah, this is my favorite story, but Dad let me watch Psycho when I was 6, and it traumatized me for quite a long time. In
So
his
she was
best parenting
35.
move.
So
He shows us some footage of an ordinary looking house and an ordinary child's bedroom. Two little girls are going to sleep when at 3:55 a.m. one of them gets up and suddenly they both start hearing loud banging sounds and they start crying and screaming for their mom and saying that it's back. The mother comes in and ushers them out of the room just as a light bulb bursts. Then we get our fake opening credit sequence, and our ground team is outside the haunted house on Fox Hill Drive. In the studio, Parkinson introduces the parapsychologist, Dr. Pascoe, and says that he'll be taking calls from the public to share their own ghost stories. He shoots it over to Craig Charles on the scene. Craig introduces the mother, Pam Early, um, and he's kind of joking around, like he's clearly not taking any of this very seriously. Then they introduce Smithy, who's on the switchboard. He's taking all the phone calls. He and Parkinson talk about how Smithy's wife, Sarah Green, is going to be spending the night in the house, and she was very excited to get this opportunity. Charles gets a little backstory on the Early family. Pam and her girls describe the incidents where dishes have broken, a foul smell comes from the tap, stains appear on clothes out of nowhere. It's wrecked their home and their family. And I think this woman is good. She really does come across very natural. Like her voice is quiet, like as if she's not used to being on camera and she's a bit shy, and I think it's a good performance. Parkinson starts interviewing Pasco and is also kind of dismissive of her and what she's saying. He even cuts her off.
Okay, I've never seen anything that he's done, obviously, because I don't live in England and he's dead now. So I was he this kind he was kind of a jerk until the end. Is that his natural style?
I don't know. I know he was very popular in the UK, but I told you the Helen Mirren story. I didn't put this in my notes, but he also apparently had a very awkward interview with Meg Ryan once, and she was very vocal about not liking him either. So maybe he was just kind of like that.
Okay, because some and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but in particular when he's the kids don't want to talk, ask the kid this, ask the kid this. And I'm
Hmm.
thinking, geez, man, have you ever seen a kid before? Let's further their trauma. Ask them. And he just came across really douchey in this.
Yeah, maybe I should have looked up some of his actual hosting gigs to see if it was similar because I don't know.
I'll call Meg and have her give me her side of the story.
Your good friend Meg, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I met her through John Mellencamp when she was dating him. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Then we meet Sarah Green, and she is very excited to be at the house. She kind of starts bantering with Smithy through the camera, and it's cute. And then she introduces Alan Demescu, an electric engineer, or a psychic electric engineer, something made up. He explains that they've got a camera in every room and they're tracking the temperature and the atmosphere inside the house. Any aberration could be a clue. Great. He will be useless throughout the rest of this, so don't even worry about him.
Now wait a minute. There is a part where they do have to use the infrared cameras. So if he wouldn't have brought them, they wouldn't have been able to do that.
All right, fair enough. So Sarah goes inside, or no, sorry, she goes outside, and we meet her crew. Her cameraman, Chris Miller. Their camera has been adapted to use the infrared. They turn it on, scan the crowd there because there has been a small crowd gathered outside the house. Then she introduces Mike Aton, their sound operator, and I believe these guys are an actual uh, film crew
Oh,
and not
okay.
actors. So Sarah and her guys go inside the house and start to get settled in. Back in the studio, Parkinson asks Pasco why they chose the house on Fox Hill. She explains that there's been more phenomena on record there than anywhere else. And he asks what the odds of them seeing anything are on the program, and she just says it depends. Sometimes the nights were full of paranormal activity, like sometimes they watch all 8 movies. And then that was a joke.
I got it.
Okay. And other times they would see nothing for weeks at a time. So I guess she's got her out in case the whole thing goes bust. He asks that if it being Halloween night makes any difference, and sure, she thinks it will. Over to Smithy, we get our first caller from Emma. She tells Dr. Pascal that the early footage of the girl's bedroom, she says she's sure she can see a figure standing in the corner. Pascal starts to answer, but again, Parkinson cuts her off and asks her to pinpoint the moment on the tape and then get back to them. Back in the house, Sarah is apple bobbing with the kids, which maybe it was the pandemic, but can you believe we used to do that? That's disgusting.
Yeah, when I was watching that, I the only time I ever did apple bobbing that I can remember, I was like 5 or 6,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard.
It,
Apple
it is
bobbing
hard.
is very hard.
Hard.
There's a skill set that I don't possess. Um, we also used to in school on our Halloween party a few years, we would hang apples on a string and we'd have to bite them without using our hands. And if you could take a bite out of it, you won.
Okay, because there are apples hanging in their
Yeah,
kitchen, and I
yeah,
was like, is that a British thing? Because I don't know why there are apples hanging.
that's why.
Okay, interesting. Um, Charles jumps out of a pantry with a mask on to scare Sarah, and he said he had a bet with Smithy that he could get her to say a four-letter word on TV. And she's playing it off, but she doesn't really seem all that amused.
I thought that was you're you're filming in a house that's allegedly haunted, and you jump out with a mask. I mean, someone should have beat him to death right there.
Like uh like Trailer Park Boys when they thought Julian was the Sam Squanch.
Oh, yes.
That's my favorite thing
Or,
ever that happened on that show.
or Saskatchewan, as
Yeah, yeah.
Ricky would call them.
They just start beating each other with baseball bats. Amazing. Anyway, after that, Sarah starts digging deeper into what's going on in the house. She takes us upstairs and says that everything started in the girls' bedroom. The older girl, Suzanne, went to bed after an argument with her mom. She heard her mom come to what she thought was to tuck her in, but she only stood there looking at her and then turned around and left. And Pam says that she didn't tuck the girls in that night. She had fallen asleep in front of the TV. So she said she told her daughter that you must have been dreaming until it something happened in her own room. She explains that there were these horrible thudding noises all around her that woke her up. The girls heard it too, and the younger one, Kimmy, was asking what the sounds were, and Pam said she didn't know what to say, so she told him it was the pipes. So now the ghost's name is Pipes. I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of like that name. Kimmy points to the corner of her bedroom and says that that's where Pipes hides. And she takes the crew downstairs to a sealed off cellar, I guess it is, a cellar door, and says that she saw Pipes through the cracks and that he lives down there. She's,
It reminded me of Harry Potter underneath the stairs.
oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess it could have just been a little cupboard in there. Anyway, she's drawn a picture of him. I mean, it's a child's drawing, so it's not like super helpful. Kind of looks like a mix between a ghost and a clown.
A closed
A closed or
or a
a
glow.
gown. A clown, there you go. And I just want to be nostalgic for a minute because I really love this house. It is taking me back to my earliest memories. The 90s furniture, the TV, the stereo. Like, all I'm missing is a Taco Bell country breakfast burrito and you looking out the window and complaining that mom took the good car. She took the good car!
It,
Back in the studio, Smithy explains that he's received several more phone calls about seeing that figure in the early footage. And Parkinson and Pasco look at the footage and are like, I don't see anything. Rewind it. And I'm like, right there.
yeah, I thought it
It's
was pretty
it's clear
apparent.
as day. Yeah, it's right there behind the curtain. You can see an outline of a person. These two are real bad at their jobs. But then when they go back through it slowly with the lights on, you don't see it anymore. Or at least I didn't see it anymore.
Yeah.
So Pasco says, "Oh, it was just a shadow." I'm like, "You guys suck." So then we go back to Fox Hill Drive. Sarah asks Pam what the worst part of all this has been, and she takes her to the boarded up door and says that it was a dark room that her ex husband used to develop photos in. And then she says they called it a glory hole.
Yeah, I had a hard time every time they'd say the glory hole. I'm thinking,
That's not what a glory hole is. Is
yeah,
is that not an expression in the UK? I don't know. Because I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am. What did you say?
and that's why they're divorced. Dear, I'm going to the glory hole. Get out of this house.
Oh, I maybe that's not an expression over there, or it wasn't in 1992. I don't know, but they say it a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's got it sealed off because months ago she felt like she was pushed in there and was unable to get back out. She heard Kimmy screaming that Pipes was there, And while she was stuck, she felt a man breathing on her, like right in her face. And she said his breath smelled like cabbage.
So,
Gross.
so he's an Irish ghost.
Hey, his name is Pipes.
Yeah,
That
I
could be a nickname for an
Pipes
Irish bagpipe
O'Toole. Welcome. I'm having some cabbage and a pint.
guy. After that, she tried to move, but the housing council didn't take her seriously. So, is this government housing?
That's what I gather. Um,
Okay.
they're they don't own the house outright, and they can't move because they won't approve it or something. And I'm
Yeah.
a little foggy, but
Yeah. Yeah, I was too, but I guess I assumed that's what it meant. She went to the media um to get some help, but she was upset because all the coverage made her look like an idiot. So back in the studio, Parkinson asks Pasco what her introduction to the early family was. She said she saw them on television and offered to help. Then they get Pam on camera so he can interview her directly. She said she allowed this special to take place because Suzanne, the oldest girl, wanted everyone to know so that they would believe them and not think that they were liars anymore. Apparently the girls were getting kind of teased at school. They get another call from a Sandra and she says that her childhood home had a ghost. And that's it. Great story, Sandra. Anyway, Pascal has written a book about this case, and she has been running a bunch of tests on the house and the family. And they pull up a recording of Suzanne talking with like a demonic voice, and it's supposed to be pipes possessing her. They took it to experts, and they're like, yeah, they identified it as two separate people. She couldn't possibly be doing that herself. Pretty spooky. Again, maybe I'm jaded, but that would not convince me of anything today. And then this part I thought was pointless. So they've got a tub in the studio full of broken dishes that I guess we'll all just take their word for it that Pipes broke all these.
yeah,
They're just holding them up like Exhibit A. Like, you could have broken that before you walked out here. Okay, so we see a picture of Suzanne with scratches all over her face and back and neck. Pascal said that she witnessed those scratches just appear on her in front of her eyes. So they go back to Pam, and she insists that there's nothing wrong with Suzanne. There's simply a ghost in the house. So they've got a physicist, Dr. Silvestri, um, satellite calling in from New York. He says that he says the obvious, and that there's nothing that they've seen so far that couldn't be faked. He is correct. And he and Pascal start to argue a little bit, and when they cut away from him, she calls him the last of the materialists, the last of the dinosaurs. And I'm like, no, not the last dinosaur again, please.
he's Richard Boone.
He sure is. Back at the house, Sarah tells her own ghost story. So a few months ago, her and Smithy were staying with friends, and one night she was woken up by music, and she saw an Indian woman's face, and her eyes rolled into the back of her head, and then she vanished. She found out the house once belonged to the Viceroy of India who lived with two concubines. When they died, somehow, just seemed kind of weird that they both just died, he wasn't allowed to bury them on consecrated ground, so he buried them in his garden. And her dream was a message not to dig up their graves. And then she told the ghosts not to worry, that no one was planning to dig up the graves. They were going to leave them in peace. And that's her story. But I feel like there's no proof that there were bodies buried there if they didn't dig them up, but whatever. When she's done, she escorts Kimmy up to bed instead of her mother for whatever reason. She and the crew then go into the kitchen to get some coffee. The cameraman notes that his watch has stopped, and Parkinson teases her not to spook herself while she's in the house. Then we get another call, another ghost story from a man who wants his identity kept secret. So he's pixelated. Oh, yeah, sorry, this isn't a call, this is like a video. He describes a day where he and his sister were eating, this is so gross, mackerel and saw what looked like saliva all over it. And then the ghost kept spitting at them. And then it escalated and started shitting all over the house. Ew. It's a really gross story.
Having a ghost is bad enough, but having one with no manners, with very crass actions, is, you know,
The worst. Yeah.
the worst. The worst. Yeah.
Back to Craig Charles. He is taking us on a guided tour of the neighborhood. He meets Yvonne, and she lives across the street from the Earlys. They've been hearing banging coming from the house too, and one day she did see a window smashed and the family out in the garden crying. And there have also been disappearances and murdered dogs in the neighborhood. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Poor puppies. Then he interviews a man named Arthur Lacey who tried to exorcise the entire neighborhood. And clearly he failed at that, so thanks for nothing, Arthur. Please leave the movie now. Parkinson cuts him off and goes back to Sarah. There's a circular, like a perfect circle wet spot on the living room carpet. And they look up, check the ceiling, nothing's leaking, the spot doesn't smell. So she takes a sample of the liquid to test it against the tap water in the house. I don't know what that's supposed to prove, but okay. Our next caller is a man named Kevin. See, he was eating a cheese and pickle sandwich, and then his plate dived to the floor. And even Pascal is skeptical about this one. Back at the house, Sarah has heard something coming from Pam's room, scratching noises and footsteps. So the girls burst in and start screaming that Pipes is there, Pipes is there. And Sarah tells them to go back to bed, and then she runs downstairs where the banging is coming from. And in the kitchen, all the kids' drawings are scattered on the floor. And I'm really like, where is their mother? I guess she's still outside being interviewed, but
Yeah. That mom disappeared for a while, and
yeah,
Sarah kind of took the mother role. You know,
yeah,
she's very motherly towards the kids. And I had a few times where I'm thinking, where's mom at? Where's mom at? Why is the
right,
reporter being mom? And
right. I'm like, why is she taking the kids to bed and doing all this stuff? It's not her job.
yeah,
Anyway, now they hear the banging coming from back upstairs. So she tries to go back to the girls, and Parkinson and Pasco tell her to stay because Suzanne is missing. So they're like, oh my God, where's Suzanne? What's happening? But the camera catches Suzanne making banging noises herself. She's like tapping on the water heater or something with, I don't know, a screwdriver or wrench or whatever. So she's caught and she starts crying and saying that it wasn't her. So in the studio, Parkinson is like, well, guess that whole thing was fake. And Pascal insists that no, no, there's definitely still a ghost in the house. This is just one incident. But I really don't blame Parkinson in this moment for being like, bullshit. You know? You're kind of caught red handed.
yeah,
So we show the house, and Parkinson is like, Suzanne, did you do the whole thing? And finally, Pam shows back up, and Suzanne cries to her and says she just wanted to show them. She's crying. She says to Pascal, "This is what you wanted. I just gave you what you wanted." So now it kind of looks like Pascal was a mastermind behind a lot of this, and but Pam is still saying no. Suzanne did not do this. Pipes is real. And then we cut back to Dr. Silvestri, the New York skeptic, who is, I'm sure, thrilled beyond belief. He says that, yeah, Pascal just played right into their hands, but before he can crow too much, Parkinson kind of hangs up on him for some reason. Smithy in the call center says that he's still getting calls about that figure in the corner. Pasco asked to see some more footage of some more tests that she took, and Parkinson's like, "Yeah, we'll look for that for you." Then we got to another ghost story. This woman says that her childhood home had an awful feeling and things would fall off the walls, shadows would move, but before she finishes, the tape kind of distorts.
Yeah.
And Parkinson is like, oh, it must be a poltergeist. What do you think, Dr. Pascal? And then doesn't wait for her to respond. He's such a dick.
He is.
He really is. Luckily, Smithy has another caller, someone else who wishes to remain anonymous. This woman starts explaining that she's got a large glass table and that her husband barely touched it and the whole table exploded. And this just happened, and she's blaming the program. Her kids are terrified, her clocks have stopped, but the kids won't take their eyes off the screen. He hangs up on her and tells the audience not to let their imaginations run wild, and he doesn't want to cause a panic. Now the tape that Pascal wanted is ready, and it's a tape of her talking to Kimmy, and Kimmy describes Pipes as very old with one eye covered in blood. He's got a scratch all the way down his nose, and he's wearing a long black robe. He's bald, and then Pasco's like, rewind the tape, and she points out that Kimmy's description is the same as what the callers have been describing. Doesn't prove anything, but sure. Back at the house, Pam says that they hear cats all around them sometimes, like that they're trapped in the walls and the ceiling. And then, of course, suddenly we do hear a bunch of howling cats.
Yeah,
Kimmy
and
comes,
I just do not like these movies that vilify kitty cats.
uh huh, sure.
Mm, I don't.
Kimmy comes down and says something's wrong with Suzanne. So they rush upstairs, and Suzanne again has scratches all over her face. So Sarah starts to freak out. Suzanne won't let anyone touch her. Sarah and the crew go to the bathroom to get some water, and Sarah jumps when she thinks she sees somebody behind the door, but the camera doesn't catch anything. So, uh, Parkinson to Pasco is like, just admit it, you stupid tits haver. You don't know what's going on here. And she says, no, actually, I don't know what's going on right now. They get another caller. This woman says that her mother would threaten them all when they were naughty, saying that Mother Seddons would come to get them. Years later, she found out Mother Seddons was a real person who murdered children, and that she operated in the area where the house on Vauxhall Drive now sits.
Yeah, and that's a bad candidate for Mother of the Year, by the way.
Really,
Telling,
because I just put my vote in for her.
yeah.
You
I
you
mean,
don't
I
think she's
learned
got a
my
chance?
lesson by telling you that there were going to be people that murdered you.
You would have been a shoo-in for Father of the Year if you hadn't done that.
I
So.
know, and I just had an officer. I didn't know it was a problem.
I thought she loved Psycho. Um, Back at the house, you can hear Smithy asking to talk to Sarah, but she assures him that she's fine, and she and Pam now think it's best to get the girls out of the house. Kimmy will not go. She's like angrily resisting, and the camera pans across the bedroom, and we see Pipes hiding again. I know there are shots of Pipes that I've missed because apparently you can see him like 13 times, I think. So I know I didn't catch all of them, but I definitely saw him here. When they pan back, he's gone. Meanwhile, outside, Charles is just shooting the shit with the crowd, just oblivious to everything that's going on inside. Smithy's still been getting calls um, from viewers now are saying that their clocks have stopped, their pets are acting up, radios are going dead, microwaves beeping, all kinds of annoying stuff.
All
And
right, real
Parkinson,
quick, let
oh
me
yeah,
ask you this because you know a little bit about filming and how the process goes. The the activity in the house is escalating,
mm-hmm.
and the people working in the truck outside are like they seem oblivious to what's going on in there. Shouldn't they? Isn't it their job to kind of watch this and do stuff accordingly from the truck? I I don't know
Well,
that.
that's why I said earlier that Alan is useless because when we cut back to him at the end, he's just been sitting there doing nothing. But presumably, what we're meant to take is the truck, the equipment in the truck is not picking up on anything weird that's going on in the house.
Okay.
That's
All
what
right.
I gathered. Um, so anyway, Parkinson is like, yeah, these are all probably just jokes. Back to Sarah, things are not going well. The girls won't move. They refuse to leave the house. And then we hear this horrible high-pitched whine that you get sometimes that like from like if you put a microphone up to a speaker.
Yeah. Feedback.
Um yeah, feedback. Oh my God. I've been sick. And more banging from upstairs, and Sarah says that she can't leave them, to which I ask, why not? I would. Bye. Those are not my kids. This is not my circus. These are not my monkeys. Suddenly, Suzanne starts talking in the demon pipes voice again. Um, and in her own voice, she tells her mom just to get out, that she messes everything up and that she hates her. And, that's just normal teenage girl stuff. The lights go out, and Sarah is searching the house for Kimmy. Somehow we've lost Kimmy. She finds her plush bunny in the sink with like the eyes gouged out and water's running all over it. And they find Kimmy hiding behind the refrigerator door. Then you hear the cats again. The sound guy says it's coming from the glory hole. I say, stop saying glory hole, I beg you.
Yeah, please.
They try to pry open the door to the glory hole because they're idiots who want to die, I guess. And just as they open it and you can see a figure, something drops on Mike, the sound guy, and either knocks him out or kills him or something. Sarah starts to run for help, but then the girls start screaming again, and she's like, no, I gotta help the girls.
Because their mother isn't here to help
Right,
them.
because their mom can't be bothered, I guess. But Suzanne screams for her mom to help her, and uh, the links. What did I write here? Oh yeah, the video feed goes out. Back outside with Charles, he's still just happy as can be, and this is where I put Alan. He's like, well, this all seems normal to me. And the cameras in the house come back on, and from the studio, we just see the girls and Sarah peacefully sitting in the living room, like playing Go Fish or something. And this is obviously footage from earlier in the night, but it takes Parkinson and Pasco way too long to realize this.
Yeah.
So in the studio, we get another anonymous call. He talks about a couple who lived in the house on Fox Hill Drive in the 60s, and they subletted a room to their nephew Raymond. And he was a very disturbed young man. He had paranoid fantasies. He said there was a woman living inside of him and she made him wear dresses. And is this transphobic?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, I didn't like that bit. Anyway, eventually he hanged himself. His aunt and uncle were on vacation when this happened, so it was 12 days before anyone found him. He had a dozen cats who were all locked in with his body, and eventually the cats started to eat him. Yeah, they'll do that, and I don't think they'll wait either. They don't care about you. Except Mittens. Mittens cared about me.
Bing Bong would not bite me.
So presumably this Raymond is Pipes. Pasco is like, this spot must have been haunted since the dawn of time. I don't know where she's getting that, but okay. Parkinson says that they're going to be taking no more calls. And finally, Pasco realizes that the camera footage from the house is not live, it's from earlier. And then the footage goes crazy and starts showing a bunch of different scenes from earlier. Pasco says that Pipes is in the machine. He's literally the ghost in the machine right now. The wind starts to blow in the studio, and she says that they've created a massive seance. We see Mike, the camera guy, being loaded into an ambulance. So I guess he lived, because we cut back to the house, sorry. And the police have arrived. Kimmy and Pam have made it outside. Charles and a cop lead the two of them to the police cruiser, and there's no sign of Sarah or Suzanne. Then we cut back inside the house, and the infrared camera is on. We hear Sarah whispering for Suzanne and Chris, the camera guy. Um, She does find Chris. She takes his hand. They can't find Suzanne. She switches on a lighter, which makes the biggest flame I've ever seen a lighter make. Did you notice
It,
that?
it looked like she was carrying around like a little campfire.
Right? She goes deeper into the house, still looking for Suzanne, and finally she gets a flashlight, switches that on. We hear Suzanne shouting for her mom again, who, as we know, has ran off and abandoned her. And lights start to blow out in the studio. And Suzanne is in the glory hole, which is not an appropriate place for a child to be.
No,
Sarah's trying to open the door, can't get it open, can't get her out. Suzanne said that pipes is hurting her. Wind's blowing, cats are howling. Sarah finally gets in, and then the door slams shut behind her. So, good work. Chaos continues inside the studio, and Parkinson, just cool as a cucumber, is like, well, people are leaving the studio, lights are blowing all over the place. It's kind of hilarious the way he's calmly describing everything that's happening. You can hear Smithy say he wants to see his wife and know that she's safe. Then the lights go completely out. Parkinson is still calmly keeping us informed. A light from somewhere comes back on, and Parkinson is alone now. Everyone else in the studio has, I guess, evacuated. We hear the cats crying, and Parkinson suddenly gets possessed by pipes. He speaks his little fee fi fo fum thing. The cats scream, cut to black. And that is the end of our movie.
that's the
And it's
end.
great.
Oh, well, Tabitha, do you think this was something I saw when it aired? Do you think I was in Great Britain watching it air? Do you think I've seen this on a repeat, or was this the first time I had seen this?
You saw it later.
This was the first time I have seen this. I
Hey.
have heard about this, and that's why I
Uh-huh.
was very excited when you said we're going to do Ghostwatch because I know it's very difficult to find, but you can watch YouTube videos of scary movies and TV shows and stuff like that, and this comes up quite a bit. So I was kind of
Mhm.
excited about that. So,
Okay.
would you give this a classic or a trash it?
Oh, I definitely give this a classic.
Okay, I I had a hard time with this, and the reason I had a
Okay.
hard time with it is because like I said at the beginning, I have seen so many ghost stories. I and watching it now, there was almost this feeling like I really had to remember what it was like 30 some odd years ago. Really try to put myself in that place to understand the hysteria because in today's world, I don't think this works in a developed country that's got all these TV shows about hauntings and everything else. We've seen so many movies and everything. So I kept having to remind myself, okay, put yourself back in there. So I'm kind of torn. I thought for the first hour, it was kind of boring. It was like there was nothing much happening. It really started rolling the last like 30, 40 minutes of the movie.
Hmm.
Yeah, they would get the phone calls, and for about the first hour, I was the only thing I think of is Ash Parkinson's a jerk. What the heck? Why does he have to be like this? So so I don't I'm not going to grade it because I think if I would have watched it 30 some odd years ago, I oh my gosh, classic. But watching it now, it's kind of hard for me to put myself back there. So I'm having a hard time. I would recommend this for the historical value of it.
Sure.
But if you're wanting to watch this in as a horror film and be scared, the ship has kind of sailed because so much has happened since this has been aired. And in today's world, it would just be another ghost story. So
Yeah, well,
I'm going to abstain from grading this because I can't decide.
that's with like a lot of old film where they start a trend or codify a trend and then you see it so many times so when you go back and watch what started it, you're like, I've seen this, you know? And it's hard to give it its due because it's so common now. You know, you didn't think
Yeah,
at the time how wow, groundbreaking it was, you know?
but I've looked this up a few times on the internet before I knew we were going to watch this. I mean, it was fascinating. And reading some of the stories of what happened to the people, it was the British version of War of the Worlds, and they got away with it. Um, and then it, I guess it's still kind of taboo in England. They feel like they were hoodwinked, I guess you could say. The
Yeah.
it's and I guess that would be the same way a couple generations before me, people who heard War of the Worlds on the radio, probably it's kind of an embarrassing thing. I can't believe I fell for that, you know.
Mm.
Um, so I think that's probably got something to do with the reason why you don't see it. It's very hard to find because there's this kind of an embarrassment thing from society there that we fell for this. Nobody likes to fall for an elaborate prank or something like that. You
Yeah.
kind of feel like, all right, you feel stupid. Someone got one over on you. But
Yeah, because even though you can get a hold of it today, it's still, I believe, not re-aired on the BBC ever.
yeah. So, but I enjoyed it for watching it from a historic perspective, and I probably need to watch it again and try to watch it from a non-historical perspective. Just watch it. But I'd done enough research on the historical perspective. I just couldn't get out of that mindset, I guess you could say. I just kept wanting to, yeah, people really freaked out over this and so on and so forth.
Have you seen the WNUF Halloween special?
No.
Okay, that would make a great double feature with this. It's sort of similar. Um, it was just released as a movie. It wasn't trying to trick anybody. But basically, it's like watching a tape of local programming from like the early 90s on Halloween night. So there's local anchors, they're dressed up, they're making crappy jokes. There's commercials, come on down to this pumpkin farm or dentist PSA, news stories. And then there's a special where the reporters go into this supposedly haunted house. And that's like the last half of the movie. So it's similar but different, and I highly recommend you check that one out.
Okay. Right. And I have made a decision. I am going to give it a classic because of the historical significance of it. Um, but you can't just watch it as a horror film because we've just seen so much of this, I
Yeah.
guess. At least I have because, you know, full disclosure, we've had some weird stuff happen in our old house. And I don't think you ever have because you haven't stayed here much, but all the kids have had different things, and me and Kathy have had different things happen. But it's not a malevolent type thing. It's like, oh, there's Granny again because we live in Kathy's grandma's house.
But when I was in college, I stayed over a lot, and I was up like half the night, and I had to tiptoe through your bedroom to get to the bathroom. I never saw anything like that. So, I don't know if I believe you guys.
Why would we lie about this?
I don't why do you lie to me? The things you lie to me about? I don't know.
Oh, I lied to you when you were a kid because it entertained me, okay?
And the second I say dad lives in a haunted house, you're gonna go, it.
No, no, seriously, uh we don't have it much happen anymore. Um the one night me and Kathy were just watching TV and it sounded like the back closet, it sounded like everything just fell off the shelves. And I mean, it wasn't like a faith thing. I mean, it was like, wow, that was loud. And we looked everywhere. We couldn't find anything falling anywhere.
Hmm.
Um, there was the time I was working, turning the back porch into a coffee room. and I'd stuck a dowel rod in this hole going down into the basement to plug it up because I was sweeping. I didn't want to sweep stuff in this hole. And all of a sudden, that dowel rod just slowly rose about 3 foot. And it scared the heck out of me. I timidly went downstairs, and there was the only way that could have been pushed up is a human being, and there was no human beings around. Um, so yeah, and I don't know if I believe in all this stuff. I just know the experiences we have had in this house have been a little weird. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Okay. So
What are
next
we
week,
watching next week?
next week, we are getting out of this Halloween stuff and we are going straight to what everybody wants to talk about, coming of age teenage sex. We are watching James at 15, starring Lance Kerwin, who has been on this before, Melissa Sue Anderson, who has been on this before, Kate Jackson, Vince Van Patten. It's it is a fascinating movie, and it became a television series.
I love Kate Jackson. Okay.
So, and I've got a funny story to tell at the end of that. So one that
Okay.
one that almost made me lose my life. So
Oh God.
we'll be doing James at 15 next week, and
Okay.
I I'm not sure where you can find it. Hold on, Alexa, where can people watch James at 15, the TV movie?
James at 15 is a 1977 TV movie, not a series. It's available to stream on Amazon Prime Video.
Amazon Prime. You heard it from
Okay.
my girlfriend, Alexa. Okay.
Okay.
Alexa, thank you, baby.
Vincent.
All right. By the way, she has changed her voice. She used to be very robotic, and now she's just sounds like the person getting your coffee at Dunkin' Donuts.
Have you seen her?
Huh?
Have you seen her?
Alexa?
No, the movie Her.
Oh, no, I haven't seen
Okay. Maybe you should watch that.
maybe. All right. Well, Tabitha, you have a good one, and we will see everybody next week.
I
Bye bye.